Fire the camera. Well, that's a good one. Fantastic. Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Crazy Science Experiments in the Kitchen with Blue and Jamie and John. We're all here today. A couple of safety aspects. First, we've got gloves on today because we're using vinegar and bicarbonate soda, which is a safe thing to use, but it can be a bit itchy on the skin, so that's why we've got that. We're also going to be using scalpels or Stanley knives, but you'll have to do that with your parents, but we'll run through with that as we go. Okay, so today we're going to be making air blasters, exploding rockets and French arrows. So we're going to start with air blasters, and what that's about is creating a vortex using an old lemonade bottle. So what we need to do first of all is using the scalpel. Now, your parents will probably have a scalpel. We have to reiterate that they are very, very, very sharp. So it's something that we suggest you do with your dad, get your mum's permission or whatever. But they are, if you're using it safely, they are very safe to use. So first of all, we need to take the bottom off of the lemonade bottle, always keeping the knife away from you. So if you have the end of the bottle towards you, and then just poke in, and then just run it round, keeping your fingers well away, like so. There we go. And just put that to one side. So we have a bottle there without the bottom on. Then the next thing we do is we get a piece of plastic, roughly about 2 inches bigger than the bottom of the bottle itself. So that looks about right. I cut one out earlier. And then we need some strong tape. I'm saying strong tape because it's really important that we get a good vacuum inside, that it's really airtight. And sometimes normal sellotape doesn't cut the mustard, so we're going to use some gaffer tape. Again, this is something your dad's probably got in his shed, and you can negotiate with that with him as you're negotiating your scalpel or what's this called again? Stanley knife. Okay, so we're just going to wrap this round. Now, you want it not really tight on the bottom. You need to have a little bit of space, because what you're going to do is attach an elastic band on the bottom, and you need to be able to sort of pull it a little bit. So we're just going to wrap this round like so. It's easiest if you can get one side and just take that down as quick as you can. Like that. Pop that on like that. So you've got a bag there with a little bit of give, like so. That's about right. And then you get an elastic band. Now again, this does need to be secured with a piece of this tough tape. Again, if you use sellotape, it might come off and it probably won't work. All the things we're showing you today, by the way, today we're going to be giving you the method, if you like. And so you can see that printed, so you can have a look and read through that as well. So there we are. So that is a very simple vortex. Now what happens with this is you pull this back, and it condenses the air inside and blows it out. So I need a bit of someone to test this on.
Yeah, please.
Put it in there. Yes. Now what we worked out earlier, what you could do is you could put corks in there. You could use the lid and not fasten it on properly, and then fire that at people. Or you could get a ball of paper and put that in the end and fire that. So that's one cool thing you could do. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at exploding rockets. Now, what you're going to need is you're going to need a cylinder that has got a tight seal on it. So we've experimented with a couple of things this morning. We've looked at things like old coffee pots, but the best thing we found that worked, which you can get from Lidl or Aldi or somewhere, are these little pots that bicarbonate of soda or baking powder come in. And they've got really nice tops that just sort of seal nicely on the top. You can sort of hear it pop when it goes on. That's like that. And we're going to make this into a rocket. So I've started here. We're going to put some fins on it. I've done 3 there. You do that by getting a old bit of cardboard like this. You'll just cut that in half to make squares, and then cut that in half again to make 4 triangles. So you see we've got 3 here. You can use normal sellotape for this. Okay, so you need to remember that the opening of the container that you're using is the bottom. So I don't know if any of you guys saw the rocket go up on Saturday evening. This will be absolutely nothing like that. There we are. Okay, so you've got that bit there. And then we're going to put a cone on it. Now you do that by getting a bit of card. Now in your craft packs last week, you would have had a bit of card like this. And then using a round object, make it again slightly bigger than the top. Cut round that to make a circle, which you see I've done. And then you cut a line just through to the middle of it, and then bend it into a cone like so. And then you can just pop that on top. And then just put a little bit of sellotape to hold it down, like this. Okay, so there's your basic rocket, which you're going to launch. So this is a bit trial and error. We've tried this morning. The method says that you should fill this half with vinegar. But what we found, if you filled it half with vinegar, you can't get the bottom on quick enough before it explodes in your hand. So with lots of trial and error, what we found is if you put in a little bit of vinegar and then 1 spoonful of bicarb in there and get it on quick, then you've got enough time to put it down so it pops off. So we're going to give that a go. So because we're using a little bit of vinegar, it's probably going to go up about a foot into the air or something, but the more vinegar you use, the more bicarb you use, and the better seal you can have on here, the higher it will go. Again, this is something you should probably do outside. We're just going to do this inside for recording purposes. We're only going to use a little bit, so let's give this a go. So what you do is you get some vinegar. Jamie, can I borrow you for a minute? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Like that, and if you just hold that for me. And then we've got some bicarb of soda here. It says coffee on here, it's not coffee, it's definitely bicarb of soda because I had to empty the thing out to use it. So you put 1 spoonful of bicarb of soda in the lid.
Why do I feel like I'm being set up?
Right, okay, I'm alright now. Now this is the trick. The trick is being able to get this in there quick enough and then put it down before it explodes. We're going to try it, okay? It might be one of those epic failures like last week, but let's try. So, after 3, put it in. Oh! Like so. Oh. Okay, ready, go. Hey!
I see that makes sense.
Yeah. Will you be able to edit that so you just get that bit at the end?
I'll have some fun.
So you don't get the epic fails. Okay, so that's that one. And then the last one is French arrowing, which we're going to have a little bit, it's quite exciting. We're going to have to go outside to do this one at the end. And what you do with that one is you have to find a straight stick, like so. Probably about 2 feet is pretty good. And then you sharpen one end, again. I've had a go here, like that. And then the end here, when you cut it, it doesn't matter that one end is a bit sort of bent or whatever, because you can just sharpen that end, but one end has to be really straight. So we've sawed that really nicely. And then this is a bit of a dodgy bit that you have to do with your dad. And then what you want to make is a cross in the top. So very, very gently, if you just work your way down, like so, eventually you'll split the wood. What you have to be careful is that you don't split it right off, because what you want is 4 corners effectively. Okay. There we go. So here you can see I've got a knot in the bottom, and so I'm going to work my way down to that knot. That's a good natural stop. So the knife shouldn't go much farther than that really, because of the natural knot in the wood. Okay, then we've got two bits of oblong cardboard, which we cut in 2, and then we just slot those in the top like that, and like that. There you go. And then using a pair of scissors, you just take off the corner so that they begin to look a little bit more like arrows. There we go, like that. Right now, about 2 inches south of the bottom of your flights, you need to make a groove in the wood. So you do that by having a line. So you just put a light line around the wood using the Stanley knife, and then one underneath about 2 centimeters down like so. So what you can see there is 2 lines in the wood with a gap in between. And then very carefully, you just peel off the wood in between those 2 lines. Okay, there we go. So that is a basic French arrow. You can do all kinds of things to this to make it more special. You can have it longer, you can have it shorter, as long as it's straight, it won't really matter. But that's a basic arrow. And then to make that fly, you get a piece of string, which we've got here. It won't make any sense until we show you. And then in one end, you do a knot. In fact, a couple of knots really, because you want quite a big knot. And then you wrap that around the top, and then you bend the top bit of the string over the knot. Okay, so it's not tied to the knot, it's just over the knot. And then you pull that tight to the bottom. And then with this hand, you just wrap the remainder of the string around like so it's nice and tight. So that before you put it to flight, it should look something like that. So that it should be nice and tight here. And then what you'll do is you'll throw, and then you'll pull back, and then that will give it momentum, and then it will launch it into the air. And that's what we're going to go and try now. Okay, so you see you've got the knot in the end of the string like so. What I mean by pulling it over is you come over like that, so that it just tucks over. You keep your finger on it, pull it tight, and then get it to the length. If you've got to wrap it around a couple of fingers or one finger just to make it the right length, that's fine, like so. So that's nice and tight-ish. There you go. And then so, with all these kinds of experiments, some work, some don't. You know, as youth workers, when we do this kind of stuff with young people, each one of these kind of things we've done today, we'd have so much fun with you guys. And the fact that sometimes they don't work and sometimes they do is just what makes it funny. And it's funnier, of course, if you were here and you were engaged and we were all making them and we were having fun. And as youth workers, we just miss you being about. And as much as we love doing this kind of stuff, it's never the same without you. And we can't wait to have you back. But there we are. That's kind of how to make 3 kind of projecting things out of stuff you might find around the kitchen. There we are. See you next week. Take care, guys. But you got that as well, didn't you? Yeah. Actually, that's a really good way to keep cool in this heat.